What if Blade Runner collided with The Last of Us, but instead of replicants or zombies, the world was overrun by sentient fungi? Welcome to Already Overbooked. My name's Josh, and today we are diving into Mushroom Blues by the great Adrian Gibson. This is a story that is a genre blending of noir, science fiction, and fantasy that takes us into a gritty world filled with fungal creatures, corruption, and mystery that digs deep. If you're a fan of detective stories with a bizarre atmospheric twist, this might be the book for you. So let's jump into first the plot. So the plot is set in the aftermath of a devastating spore war. Mushroom Blues transports you into Neon Kaneko, a city caught in a grip of post war corruption, crime syndicates, and a growing unrest. At the heart of this dystopian metropolis is NKPD homicide detective Henrietta Hoffman, who was a hardened investigator with a serious troubled past, haunted by the war's scars and the corruption she just can't go through and escape. She has a partner. She's partnered with Koji Namiko, a patrol officer who isn't just new to the force, but is also a mushroom-headed hybrid. Hoffman finds herself very reluctant, drawn into a case that is far more than just a routine homicide. What begins as a gruesome murder of fungal and half bred children quickly spirals into something far more sinister. And as Hoffman and Namiko dig deeper, they really start to unravel a tangled web of underground factions, high level corruption, and racial tension between these humans and the fungal beings, all while battling their own personal demons. Each new discovery forces them to confront the city's darkest secrets, from the hidden forces that dictate life in this city to the deep scars left by the war. It is very masterfully blend of a noir crime thriller elements that has an eerie, immersive fungal infested cyberpunk type of setting that Mushroom Blues really goes through and delivers that story that is equal part detective mystery, political conspiracies, and some body horror, making for a really unique and immersive reading experience, unlike anything that you're going to go through and experience. Now let's jump into the characters. We have Henrietta Hoffman, who is the classic noir protagonist. She, embodies the wariness of a detective based off of everything she's seen, everything she's lost. But yes, she still finds a way to push forward. She does have a lot of scars from the Spore War that go through and linger a lot in her mind. That war definitely shifted her worldview and her interactions that she has with other people. She is very tough. She is sharp tongued. She is methodical in what she does, but really underneath all of her hardness exterior, there's a sense of duty and a belief in justice. The weight of her past trauma and failures really makes her compelling, not just as a detective, but also as a person who is struggling to exist in a city that seems to be really rotten from the inside. Then we have Koji Namiko, her unexpected and unconventional partner. Unlike Hoffman, Koji is a literal outsider, not just as a rookie cop, but also he is a fungal hybrid being, which shows as a physical embodiment of uneasy that's coexisting between humans and this fungal species that's left in a world after a big war that broke out. The Koji is very stoic. He's has a oddly enduring demeanor. He's very perceptive. He provides a good, sharp contrast to Hoffman's more jaded demeanor. More than just a partner, Koji really serves again as a mirror of Hoffman's own bias and struggles, and really challenges her prejudice and forcing her to see the case and the city itself through a more localized and different lens. And their interactions are filled with tension, grit, and very reluctant camaraderie, making their partnership feel both dynamic and essential to the story itself. Now, beyond the main cast, we have a, a lot more atmospheric and morally ambiguous supporting cast. We have crime-ridden cityscapes that is filled with criminals, informants, power-hungry corporate figures, broken authority figures, each with their own motivations and shadows that haunt them. And some of these desperate survivors of the war are really just trying to go through and scrape by within this world, and really in this unforgiving city that really is just rotten from the inside. So now let's move on to the writing style. Adrian Gibson's writing style is sharp, it is immersive, and it does such a great job at capturing the gritty essence of noir detective fiction while also injecting you with a bizarre organic eeriness of a fungal punk type fantasy. It's a novel that thrives on the atmosphere. It pulls you into the decay, neon lit streets where spores float in the air, and the city itself feels like a living, breathing entity. The dialogue between the characters are fast paced, it is biting, and it's also laced with a lot of tension. The pacing in the novel is a slow burn intensity to the investigation. Every step forward feels like it comes at a cost, whether it's physical, emotional, or psychological. But just when you get comfortable, the story delivers a just a quick gut punch or a sudden burst of brutal action, keeping the stakes higher, and you just cannot stop flipping through the pages. The biggest triumph of Mushroom Blues is that it never loses sight of its noir roots, even as it leans into the surreal elements of the fungal punk sci fi. Gibson goes through and manages to keep the detective genre really core intact. We have the murder, the corruption, the political intrigue, while also using the fungal setting to enhance rather than overshadow the story, which then results in a world that feels alien yet eerily familiar, a city that mirrors our own societal struggles, but through the lens of spores, decay, and transformations. Gibson's writing doesn't just tell a story, it breathes life into it, making this the city a place that lingers in your mind long after you finish the book. All right, let's move on to the themes and the tones. At its core, Mushroom Blues is more than just a detective noir wrapped in science fiction shell. It's a layered exploration of societal struggles, personal identity, and the scars of war through a bleak, atmospheric tone and a gritting reality. And Adrian Gibson weaves a story that reflects real world issues while also diving into a compelling, action packed mystery. And one of the strongest themes running through Mushroom Blues is the lingering effects of war. The Spore War, which serves as a backdrop of the novel, which just leaves a physical destruction. It defined the power dynamics of this world. There is also a theme of identity that runs deep within this story, especially with Koji, Hoffman's partner, as a fungal hybrid. Koji embodies the tension between these two worlds, human and fungal. The tone is bleak and atmospheric, with moments of dry humor and camaraderie between the characters, balancing the weights of these themes. The book doesn't shy away from the ugliness of this world, but it also doesn't lose itself in hopelessness. There is a moment of resilience and determination that will keep you engaged throughout this whole novel. So now let's jump into the pros and cons. Mushroom Blues excels in many areas while presenting some challenges for certain readers. Let's go through and break it down. So we have the pros. You know, the biggest strength of Mushroom Blues is how fresh and original the world feels. It's rare, in my opinion, to go through and see a novel that fuses detective noir, cyberpunk, and fungal horror into something that works so seamlessly. There is a strong character dynamics, particularly between the main two characters, Hoffman and Namiko. The pacing is very well done for a mystery that's layered with a lot of intrigue and world building. There's a lot of engaging prose that really brings the city to life. Now, some of the cons, the world building can be dense because you are just dropped into a fully formed complex world, and there is a learning curve that can feel steep at times. The noir style dialogue and pacing may not appeal to all readers. And while the main two cast are brilliant and very brilliantly developed, some of the supporting characters don't get as much attention as they could have. The world is filled with very interesting side characters, the informants, the crime bosses, the officials, things like that. But some of them feel underutilized, leaving left me at least wanting more depth and backstory for some of these characters. Now, this is book one of, I'm guessing, going to be a planned series. So maybe some of these other side characters will be fleshed out in future books. All right, so let's move on to my final thoughts. Mushroom Blues is ambitious. It is atmospheric novel that really delivers a unique reading experience, combining that detective noir with those weird fungal horror and science fiction elements that I mentioned earlier. I ended up going through and rating this a 8 out of 10. I thought it was a great story. Um, Mushroom Blues is a must read, I think, for readers who enjoy genre blending fiction. So if you're looking for a book that pushes the boundaries, challenges your expectations, and immerses you into a darkly fascinating world, this one is definitely worth picking up. So my question for you, what's your favorite genre mashup? Is it noir meets science fiction? Is it horror meets fantasy? Let me know down in the comments. I'm really curious to hear your favorite weird book blends. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe. You know what to do. Till I see you in the next one.